Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. Hope we meet you well. Our guest this morning is Dr. Tony Ofoyetan, Director General, International Institute of Professional Security. A fine morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sir.
And
Good morning, Nigerians.
Indeed, I haven't started off that way. It does sort of give an indication of what we're going to be talking about, and it's because of the security concerns. And all over Nigeria, I would say, we do have the security concerns. But if we were to look at the Southeast in particular, if we were to carve something out, is there really a difference in what drives the topic in that region as to other areas?
Uncle Yori, the truth is that there may not be fundamental difference as it is now, except for the fact that in the Southeast, presently, there is no clear-cut indication as to who are the perpetrators of these crimes and criminalities. Okay. Now, for the North, we've been able to identify some sects and even give face or faces. Boko Haram used to be this mysterious until presently there are faces that have been attached to Boko Haram. But in the Southeast, you talk about, for example, you talk about the unknown gunmen. Mm-hmm. Now, till today, surreptitiously, the government is still telling us that they are still unknown. And that is the mystery in it. And that is actually the worrisome part of it. Because when we have avalanche of intelligence agencies in the country, and we've been talking of unknown gunmen for more than 5 years or thereabouts in this country, and up till now, nobody has been arrested to say this person is or was a member of the unknown gunmen and had to be prosecuted. So that actually is the dynamics that makes the Southeast security challenge a very unique one. You see a group of people that would come and perform havoc and disappear into thin air. Consciously or unconsciously, it means that by implication, there is this, tacit approval. It may not be intentional from security agencies. It may not be intentional. But in a situation where people believe they depend on you, now you discourage them from self-help. And discouraging them from self-help is as good as telling them we are capable of handling the situation. But look at now, you are talking of some group of people you call unknown gunmen, and you still think that you should be able to, you should still address them as unknown gunmen.
Well, this is the challenge. Although I dare say Nigeria does have this challenge of, and this is really coming from the rest of us, maybe not those who are in charge. It is felt that a lot more is known about goings on in our country, in our communities, than is actually allowed, that is actually spoken of. And this sort of binds everybody, both those who should be in charge and those who indeed are yearning to be governed over. When you try to read up on this subject, you find that the elders in that area, they are not short of expression. They think, from what I've been able to read, that one of the main challenges in the Southeast and its security issues is the refusal of, maybe inability is perhaps a better word, of the governors there to work as a team. Everybody, so the narration goes, so the narrative goes, everybody wanting to, become a victor on his own, whereas it is being emphasized by those elders who are commenting, some of them who are now retired, saying that we need to come together to solve this matter together. There is the thought, there was recently a summit, there's the thought that present leaders don't consult enough. Present leaders in the Southeast don't consult amongst themselves enough. And the idea, you can see the idea behind that thought is that if you won't tap the experience of those who have come, served, and gone, but are still around, how are you going to achieve anything? Because it is felt that you can come into office at a very young age, you don't know much about administration. Yes, you could have been voted in. That is on the one hand. The other hand, Bianca Ojukwu, Ambassador Bianca Ojukwu, she was saying the other day that if you don't release Nnamdi Kanu, there will never be an end. I mean, as disparate as that.
Is it, Uncle Yori? There are a lot of dynamics in the Southeast security challenge.
Okay.
But like we started, there is nothing extraordinarily unique
to that
vis-a-vis what is happening in the North, except for these differences that some of these differences that we have identified. That governors don't work together or in unison in the Southeast is not peculiar to them. It's a national problem. Even in this North that we talk about today, it's not as if the governors are working together, as it were. You know, and don't forget that we are in a society where it is only government agencies that bear arms. And after that, the next people that bear arms are the criminals. The terrorists, the criminals. These are the two people that don't need licenses to bear arms in this country. The government and the terrorists or the criminals. You know, but you and I, we need license to bear arms. If you don't have license and you have in possession of arms, you will go to jail for it. So that is one paradox that
there's
should,
an accounting in that sense.
that should settle at the back. Now for the Southeast, the political part of it is not helping matters. That's just the truth. You know, politicians are more interested in their political ambition vis-a-vis the security challenge there. And why I said so is that let us even assume, without considering that you have some limitation, especially because even your own paramilitary organizations don't bear arms. But you can be highly instructive to the extent that even the police and the army and you can empower them. You can put them on the run in such a manner that even the criminals will know that in your own state, it may happen in other states, but in your own state, you won't allow that. You won't condone that. But it's not happening like that in the Southeast. That is one aspect of it. Then another thing is that even the people themselves are not ready to push out the criminals among them. To what extent are they even cooperating with standing army, the police and the like? To what extent are they cooperating with intelligence agencies and the like? That is also another aspect of it, which the people must look inward. Now, don't also forget that the Southeast, they have this independent kinsmen, what do you call it, cultural orientation. So it's not as if they are, you know, what do you call it, they are so coordinated. Right from the word go, it's a kinsman thing. So if security is going to bring them together, now it has to be something that is of a common interest to them. So that now brings me to the issue of Bianca Ojukwu. Now, that means that as it is now, whether you like it or not, the government has made a hero out of Nnamdi Kanu. Government, by, you know, arresting him and detaining him and, you know, bringing out popularity out of nothing. Nobody knew this man from anywhere before. But one of the best ways government unconsciously brings out hero from activists, the day you arrest them, you have made them automatic heroes. Because most of the time, if you look at the way it starts, you know, unassumably, it starts quietly and all those stuff like that. These people were not bearing arms initially, if you remember. It was just placard, normal activism and all those stuff like that.
IPOB
the IPOBs and all those stuff like that. You know, I was part of the entire one of this, and I said that if government did not handle it properly, these people will re-strategize and reappraise their strategy. And that's what happened today. Today now you are no longer talking of an IPOB of a placard and all those stuff like that. You are now talking of an IPOB that has the capacity and capability to able to you know, confront our military formation. Why? Because the government before now had handled this matter, as far as I'm concerned, unprofessional. As far as I'm concerned. And that is what now today, For you to now assess the situation, we are not talking about release of the Nnamdi Kanu. And to me, as far as I'm concerned, there is nothing spectacular about the release of Nnamdi Kanu. If you release Nnamdi Kanu is not going to divide Nigeria. Nnamdi Kanu is not going to separate Nigeria. He does not have the capacity or capability to bring Nigeria into disintegration.
Nor is it.
It doesn't have it.
Nor is it guaranteed that anything can change in the security situation.
But no, if you release Nnamdi Kanu, it has its own, because whether you like it or not, do you know what it means for IPOB to say people should not open shop on a particular day?
And indeed, they go their way.
Till today. And for goodness sake, you know, that speaks volume. You and I can't do. You can't do. You can't go to your community and say you're angry with government. Don't open shop. You know, so that simply means that the government on its own, look, there are times that we have to swallow our pride to do the needful. There is nothing. Ojukwu did worse than he did. Ojukwu led Nigeria to war, but Ojukwu was given presidential pardon. The same Ojukwu still contested. It was Ojukwu that established ABGA we are talking about. Contested to be president of Nigeria. So what has he done? To the extent that we are now incarcerating him for this long. And that also is you know, an amber that is watering the seed of bitterness in that southeast. So there's nothing spectacular about the release of Nnamdi Kanu. It's a political matter. It's not a legal issue. There's nothing like treasonable felony and all those things we are talking about. It's a pure political solution that we are going to court and come in every day. He can remain in court for how many years? Obafemi Awolowo was in court for 10 years or thereabout, or was in jail. All those things are political things. And the only solution is political solution. And if the government is humble enough to attend to it politically, it will have its own percentage.
Okay, I was going to say that.
Yes.
It isn't as if you're saying...
No, it's going to have its own fundamental percentage in the reduction of the security challenges in the southeast. Because at that point in time, even the unknown government and the IPOB, now the question will now be, on what ground, on what rationale are you now talking about this type of violence?
Indeed. Yes. Hello, good morning, Mr. George in Ikeja.
Uncle Yori, and good morning to Tony.
Yes. Good morning.
Uncle Yori, truth must be told. When this issue of agitation was launched by Nnamdi Kanu in the East, it wasn't militant initially. Later on, he launched a military wing that was becoming troublesome to the society. We did not see the leaders in the East do anything. From my own way of seeing it, they instead encouraged it. The political elites in the East believed it will help them in their political ambitions. That if their son is calling for a separate country, the rest of the country might be forced to allow a president to be elected from the East. Because of that, they fell quiet and the thing grew and grew and grew. To the point that they themselves, and even IPOB, set up by Nnamdi Kanu himself, could no longer control it. You can always start something. You can't control the effect. When something like that happened in Yoruba land not long ago, the group came out and said they want separation from Nigeria. What did you see? The leaders in the Southwest, the Obas, the political elites, all of them said, no, you cannot do that. We will disown you. Within a few weeks, it melted them. Those boys did not say anything again. They disappeared into the thin air. But what do you think the East? The elders group, the people who are supposed to be regarded as the leaders and the elders, every day they go to the government, release our son. He has not done anything. And I think, I'm sorry to disagree with Tony on this aspect. When he said the government did wrong by not releasing him, this guy committed crime. He launched a radio station, calling Nigeria all sorts of names. He launched a military wing, committing crimes, killing people. Many people have died. Is that not a crime that the government should punish him for? If your son is doing something wrong, you must tell that your son that he has done wrong in love, not covering him, and then on the other hand, you are using it to try to achieve a political gain. That is wrong. And if you don't, I've always said it on this program on Creole, if you don't address the cause of a problem, you will never solve it from the top. The root cause is that where Nnamdi Kanu came from, his people are hypocritical. I'm sorry to use that word, but that's the truth. They are hypocritical about their attitude to the subject matter, and that is what has caused all this. To the extent that
okay, I think we did lose there. Okay, that was Tony. No, so that was Mr. George going on there about his perspective on this whole matter. Okay, some of it was a bit delicate in the sense, you know, one has to be careful about what one utters on these matters. But he doesn't think that, well, you said that there is a percentage that cannot be discounted, that can be achieved. But to the main subject matter, because this is not about IPOB. No. This is not about IPOB. No. It's about insecurity in the area. And where that is coming from, there are these linkages that you don't quite understand. For instance, Ebubeago, for example, their own version of
Amateku.
If you want to put it that way.
Well, that's it.
Everybody has to come up with their own sort of, you know, because you pointed out that they were able to say, don't come out. Oh, ye hear this, oh, ye hear this. Don't come out on certain days. And, you know, people complied. People, even though the governors were trying to persuade them, the people complied. Now, and meanwhile, there are also kidnappers. Kidnappers, robbers, you know, they sometimes, you know, are exported out of the area. So it becomes difficult because there seem to be quite a number of forces in there. The straightforward criminal forces.
Let me help you.
Okay, let the Reverend Dominic come in, and then you come in. Good morning, Reverend Dominic.
Good morning, Chief Yore. Good morning,
sir.
Johnny.
We're looking at the security situation in the southeast.
Yes, Yore, it is quite interesting when you bring guests here. But to be frank, Tony, God bless you. Tony has spoken truth to power. But Chief Yore, let me answer George and answer to Nigerians. George is not fair to us. As a man called Joe Ibokwe, his house has been burned down in the east. Most of us do not go to the east because we do not support IPOB. Not because we don't support, we are different. No, we don't support the injustice they made to us. But this young man called in prison now, Nnamdi Kanu, when he rose up, most of us, I won't tell you what I told him on television. We told him how to go on this way. You can't fight an elephant while you're an ant. That's another thing I don't want to say here. Most of us, Yori, do not go to Southeast again. Because if you go to Southeast today and say, young men, take it easy, you become a saboteur. You are marked to be destroyed or killed. So, George is not fair. All the elders of Igbo land did not support this movement the way they're going about it. We supported that there's injustice made against us, but you don't use injustice to fight injustice. That's our position. Number two, Tony has the right. When this thing started, they declared IPOB militant group. They have not killed one fly. Tony is my witness. I'll talk to them. They have not killed one fly. We said the last administration, not this administration, but administration, mismanaged the whole issue. How do you tag a people who in UN, you have right to say, I don't want to belong to this nation or that nation. You don't tag the militants. By that time, they have not killed one bird. They have not killed one fly. It's when they call the militants, and they arrest this man, take him to court. One of our senators, I believe, stood for him And when he came back, Nigerian government went to his house to fight him, even not the day of the court. These guys did not abscond. It is that war. I went there 2 years ago. If you see go to Nnamdi Kanu house today, it's like a civil war place. Over 20 cars were burned down. I'm not supporting him. But what I'm trying to say, there's no Igbo man that watched this case. I'm above 50 and have been part of the Igbo people that supported Nnamdi Kanu and the way he's going. Do you know he calls us as pastors? He says we are stupid pastors. He don't respect the traditional rulers. He doesn't respect the political leaders. They won't like what I'm saying now. But judge should not blanket we, who are intellectuals from Southeast, that we supported Nnamdi Kanu. That is not true. What happened is that the last government mismanaged it. Do you know that this young man called Nnamdi Kanu has started this shenanigans in the days of Goodluck Jonathan. And Goodluck Jonathan ignored him. He went to the dustbin of no history. It was the Buhari government that made hero out of nobody. And today, here we are. Let me say this. The situation in Southeast today, even though you release this man, we don't go to normal. Because Amrapas have become IPOB. Kidnappers have become IPOB. What is unknown government? I've told you this station. There's nothing like unknown government. IPOB people, our brothers, they are sisters, they are cousins, they are in-laws. We know them. But what you call unknown men, we are criminals who took advantage of a bad situation. So please, judge not insult the Igbo people. We do not support that nonsense. If we want to pull away from Nigeria, we are intellectual enough to know what to do. And we're not going out of Nigeria. We have built this nation from Sokoto to Abuja to Lagos. Igbos, we have built it. We're not going anywhere. So please, sir, let me say this. I beg Tinubu, who is a good activist like me, to release this man to go back to UK and let's find our peace here. Because that man is irrelevant to come to Igbo land. He has no voice in Igbo land. It's not a possibility.
All right then. Well,
I think he just said some of the things I wanted to say with respect to your question, that as we speak today, criminals have taken advantage of what is happening in the southeast. Southeast.
What ordinarily should be a political agitation.
It's just like when you hear kidnapping in the north, for example. You first of all go to, everybody thinks it's the Fulani men that kidnaps. But it's not a very big business. It has nothing to do with the Fulani or any, it's just exclusively criminals. And maybe when you talk about the, when you talk about the terrorists that want to use it to raise their terrorism, financing, whatever. And that's what is happening in the southeast as we speak. As we speak. Unfortunately, being aided and abetted by their own brothers and some of the criminal elements that are in some of these forces. Aiding them and abetting them. And that is why you are talking about some of these security challenges in this southeast. Now, Nnamdi Kanu will, once you see, there is no way you talk about southeast security challenge that you will not talk about IPOB.
Yes.
You know, because, but like he rightly said, IPOB is now a combination of the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it's a combination of all forms of criminals. Maybe some of them can be, you know, can have that philosophy and the like. But, you see, it's so painful to the extent that prophetically, if Nnamdi Kanu is released today, it may interest you that he may contest as president of Nigeria. It may interest you that if it say, okay, I want to be governor of his state, he will win landslide.
Well, because there is a certain notoriety now.
He will, if he decide to say, okay, I want to start from my state, he will have a landslide victory.
Okay. Luke in Port Harcourt. Good morning to you, sir.
My brother, see, I want to differentiate. Let us understand this thing this way. There's different types of different criminality. And I have constantly said in Nigeria that look, we are not in support of foreigners. They are not in support of things. It's not like you build there are some things called uninvited guests. They come. That does not mean that they are important. They are invited. That they are part of that house, my brother. The issue of Nnamdi Kanu has become a thing. I don't know. When you teach me what I've already known, Nigerian government is already. It pains me when I saw Supreme Court returning this man back to a lower court. That was thing would have been buried. When people come out and say, look, release Nnamdi, why we are saying so is because we want to differentiate between the invited guests and non-invited guests, my brother. As it stands today, I am an Akwa Ibomite. If anything happened by the military from the Southeast, I'm not seeing it as a professionalism. I'm not seeing it as a justified issue. Because, see, my brother, let us be very frank with us. Until you differentiate these two things, we are not going to have it right. Let this man go so that everybody can criticize what is to be criticized. Everybody can condemn what is to be condemned. Everybody can come out and say, okay, fine. Now that this is called by his name, what about this? And then we will also come out to say, look, government, use force. But as it stands now, I am telling the Nigerian government that whatever force they use on the surface is injustice. To me, that's personal. That's personal. Until Nnamdi Kanu is, in fact, it even come to a stage where I say, if you want to jail him, jail him. So that we understand that, look, he has committed a crime, and he is paying for what he did. But at the time now, it's just like you putting one leg inside a car and then putting one outside the other one outside the car. It's not normal, my brother. It's not normal. This man has been, okay, even up to the Supreme Court, the only thing they said here was, oh, sorry, it was a mistake. We know that you were, I don't know, from Kenya and all those things. Is that what is your job? Your job is not to sympathize. Your job is to do justice.
All right,
so
then.
Brother,
well, thank you. Thank you for calling in, Luke. Really appreciate your call. Do please stay with us with Dr. Tony Ofoyetan in studio here. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back. Stay with us, please.
Sometimes it's the story that calls. At other times, the people just want to be heard.
School, I need students, but I need teachers.
Can't continue like this.
Their voices re-echoing through time itself.
We haven't done anything.
If the tide is high, everybody run for safety.
Their tears leave a sweet, sour taste for all their demands. A familiar call beckoning for change. In our world, no one expects a disaster to happen. But when it does, we'll be there to x-ray all sides, from the east to the west, north and south. Committee Forum will examine the oddities and challenges to economic development, as well as issues yearning for government intervention. Watch fresh episodes of Community Forum on Sundays by 9:30 p.m. only on TVC News.